Hello and welcome to a brief video lecture that I've put together for you with my comments and concerns on your intermediate drafts of your multimodal memory assignment. Wanted to cover a few points first over a few slides, and then I wanted to pull up some of your drafts and talk about them. The point is to be constructive in my comments and not overly critical. So, and even if I'm not talking about your particular draft, I think you can gain something from what I say about other people's drafts. So please pay attention to this presentation. And then I'm going to come back and reiterate my concerns at the end. So let's get started. Okay, so for my comments and concerns about your intermediate drafts, first of all, they were supposed to include multimedia at this point. So we're kind of looking at a draft that is more than just text, and we're starting to enter this multimedia phase, and then we're going to work toward a final draft from here. So in terms of your use of multimedia, if you're doing what's called an illustrated essay in our text, which is basically a Word document with pictures and multimedia inserted into it, I asked you to be sure to create a banner in place of a title on the first page, and I showed you how to do that using PowerPoint and reshaping the slide so that it's about 2 inches high, and whatever the width is, you can keep that the same. And then I put some, I formatted the background of the slide, and then you can fade out the opacity of it, make it more transparent if you need to, and then put some text, insert a text box on top of that with your title. And then when you go to save it, instead of saving it as a PowerPoint document, you have the option to save it as an image file, a JPEG, a GIF, or a PNG file. And generally I would say save it as a JPEG document. And then when you go into your Word document at the top, you'll do insert image from file, and then go find that image that you created, your banner, and insert it at the top of your document. Okay. Second bullet item here, make sure your images are big enough. I think that some people were afraid of making them too big, but I think that generally speaking, we want them to complement and supplement your text. So don't make them too small. By the same token, don't make them too big. We don't need to make them gigantic, but I think you'll maybe have someone else take a look at them and decide if you think that they're big enough or they need to be a little bigger. Do use that text wrapping feature that we talked about. I did see some instances where that wasn't used, so make sure you do that. Make sure you're using at least 3 images in the body of the document. Make sure every image has a caption. So that's really easy to do. You right mouse click on the image, and then you'll get a menu that pops up, and one of the options should be insert caption, and then click on that, and then you'll just type in the caption. So it may be short, it just may be, arrival in Belize or something like that, or it may be something, 2 or 3 sentences. So do whatever is appropriate for your image. Okay. And my next bullet item is kind of a general rule of thumb. Avoid mixing photos with clip art. I think maybe there were a couple of instances where I thought it worked okay, but generally speaking, you want to stick to one or the other. And I think photos tend to work better. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. This is one of those rules that's made to be broken, but it is a guideline that you should try to comply with. And then if you're using PowerPoint or Prezi, basically we're looking at different slides in either mode of delivery. And I have a typo here. It should say consider making use of subheadings. So sometimes kind of like we're looking at here on this slide where it says comments and concerns at the top. Sometimes you can kind of, instead of just plopping a paragraph on there by itself, sometimes it might help to have somewhat of a subheading that kind of explains what this particular slide is about. Okay, so moving on, kind of looking at the beginning of your document. Titles are very important, so work on it. Do not just put my multimodal memory at the top. The title should work on your audience to help to pull them into your document. So yes, I'm going to read your document all the way through, but think about your audience as people who may not read your document all the way through. So how are you going to make an impression on them and pull them into your document? Intros are also important for pulling your reader in to your document. So we want to figure out a way to grab your reader's interest. And so some of these are things that you should do and things that you shouldn't do. The first one I have here is avoid starting your essay with the word it. It is kind of a placeholder. It's a pronoun, and basically the thing that it's taking the place of winds up coming later in the sentence. So we probably need to rework that sentence to get rid of the word it at the beginning. And my second bullet item under this section, don't start with the date. I did notice a few people doing this. For some reason, that just kind of cements the experience in their mind, but it really means almost nothing to the reader. So, you could probably introduce it sometime later, but it's not the most effective way of starting your essay. Okay, I think a bit more important here, avoid starting too far back. I noticed in several instances that it seems like people were just starting too general, too broad, and it doesn't really pull the reader in. So I'm saying start closer to the action. And as far as that first paragraph that kind of contextualizes things, sometimes it works better as the second or third paragraph, as kind of now we've got the reader in to the essay, and then we're going to back up and kind of contextualize things for them before we move ahead. So, okay, so I say start closer to the action. Consider making your intro paragraph your second paragraph as background or context. So this is a frequent thing that people do with that second paragraph. It's a background or a bridge paragraph, and it kind of explains things that you couldn't put into the intro. So, okay. And then also in terms of finding something that's going to start in the middle of things and grab the reader and pull them in, I looked at a lot of essays and I thought, I was a third of the way into the essay, halfway into the essay, 2/3 of the way into the essay, just reading some of those sentences in the body of your essay, and I thought, why not start here? This is a very gripping sentence. It really, grabs the reader and pulls them in, and so I'm saying read through your essay, look at each sentence, and think, what if I made this the first sentence in the essay? Would that really help to pull my reader in? So, yes, it might lead to a pretty wholesale revision of your essay, but it might be the best thing in the long run. So we want to, even in this day and age of the internet and constant distractions and multitasking, we want to make sure to grab the reader and pull them in. So, and then my last bullet item on this slide is consider starting with dialogue. So that puts you as the writer immediately into a situation. It puts your reader immediately into the situation, and so can be highly effective. Okay, moving on. In your body paragraphs, avoid making every paragraph the same length. It just kind of creates a monotony in your essay, and things start to feel kind of heavy, especially if they're about half page each for each paragraph. And so paragraphing is a little bit of an art, and as I say in the second bullet item, paragraph variety is as important as sentence variety. Paragraph variety helps to vary your pacing in your essay. It keeps the reader interested. Short paragraphs can be very effective. And of course, also in the body, be sure to include some dialogue. Okay, moving on. In the conclusion, this is the reflection, the significance part of your essay. This is the highly abstract language. We're making sense out of things, making meaning, deriving meaning from this experience. So, as I say, it's the hardest part of your essay to write. I'm asking you to plan several different writing sessions to work on just this section. Should be more than just a single paragraph. If you've got a single paragraph, I consider that, a first attempt at the conclusion, but you're going to come back and make it 2 or 3, 4 paragraphs. It should be in your own words, not just something that you've heard someone else say to you. Those things tend to be truisms and even cliches. So put it in your own words. And then, as I say at the end here, this is the takeaway for your reader. This is the act of transference. This is something that they can take and apply to their own lives. So we want to make it worthwhile for them. And by that point, they've made an investment in your essay and they want the payoff. And also, by that point, you've made a huge investment in your essay. So we want to make the conclusion worthy of that as well. Okay. Okay, so those are my comments on your drafts overall, and let's take a look at some examples and see some instances of what I'm talking about. Okay, in this particular example, the writer is using PowerPoint as their mode of delivery, and I think doing an excellent job overall. Rather than play the presentation, I want to kind of look at it in this editing mode with the slide sorter over here on the left, so we can kind of see what I call an arm's length view, looking at some of the slides. And so I think the title slide is pretty good. I think this image could have been bigger. Could actually be the background for this slide. So as we see over here on the left, the writer is using headings on different slides. And so we have an opening here. You can actually get rid of the bullet on these slides. And then we go moving in. And I would make these images bigger, so maybe even make them the background. So then throughout, we could probably use some more images, and through the years, again, I think this image could be bigger, and then at the end, we have this image in the background, but it's kind of hard to see the text, so maybe move the text over to the left, so to the right, so we can see it a little better, or something, so that right now it's not, maybe make it a different color. Right now it's not very readable. So we have blue up here, and the blue works well for this first word. If you wanted to make the entire paragraph blue, that would work as well. So overall, I think this essay is well written. Difficult subject, but I think the writer handles it really well, and seems to be making good progress in terms of the multimodal aspect of this assignment. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this particular example, the writer has not gotten to the multimodal stage of this assignment yet, but I do want to point out that we see a lot of sentence variety, and paragraph variety, and a lot of use of dialogue, and so a good title on this. So I think the writer is on his way with this. Just need to introduce those multimodal aspects. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this particular example, again, I'm going to look at it kind of arm's length view here. I think the title needs work. I think maybe work on the introduction, find a more gripping way to pull your reader in. Work on paragraph variety and breaking up long paragraphs, like we see this one that goes from this page to that page. The images that are being used are kind of stock images, and if the writer has some of his own images that could be used here, I think it'd be better. And we also need to work on some text wrapping around these images. And we also have this kind of a big blank space at the bottom of the first page. Looks like this is part of that first paragraph, so I'm not sure why it's not on that first page. So, and then conclusion, I think, also needs some development. And I think formatting on, we talked about this long paragraph. I see some dialogue going on here, so you should try to start a new paragraph whenever you change speakers, so that would help to break that up a little bit. So I think that's about all the comments I can make on this draft at this point. Let's take a look at another example. Okay, this particular example, I'm also going to look at it kind of at an arm's length view because to point out many of the good things that are going on here. So we do have a banner at the top here, and I think a good introduction on this. Good use of images throughout. They're placed in different places and also either to the left or to the right so that the text wraps around them. We probably need captions on those images. And some of them, I guess, might be kind of stock images, but we also see the writer in this image, and I'm assuming that these are the writer's own pictures. So maybe work on the conclusion a little bit, but overall, I think this essay seems to be coming along very well. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this particular example, again, we're kind of looking at an arm's length view. I think the writing seems to be coming along pretty well, and good use of an image and wrapping the text around it. We need a caption on this image. I'm not sure why there's this blank space on this page, and here I think the images work pretty well. Maybe it could even be a bit bigger, so this one seems a little small. And good use of dialogue. Again, we have another big blank spot for some unknown reason. And then the conclusion is basically just one paragraph, and so I'd like to see the writer work on that and try to avoid some of those truisms and cliches and such. This image would actually work better on the right-hand side of the page. Since the runners are running in this direction, we want them to run into the page rather than off the edge of the page. So overall, a good intermediate draft. Still some work to be done to make it a really good final draft. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this particular example, again, I'm going to talk about it at arm's length view. And we do have a banner. In fact, we literally have a banner on this essay at the top. And we do have kind of a mix of photographs and what we might call clip art throughout. So I'm not sure that that works so good. I would try to avoid that if possible. This image could probably be bigger. Moving further down, this image also could be bigger. And conclusion, a good first attempt. I'd like to see the writer work on developing that some more. It is the hardest part of the essay, but it is the payoff for the reader, so see what you can do on that. So overall, a good intermediate draft, but again, probably some work needs to be done to make it a really good final draft. So let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this particular example, the writer has created a Prezi presentation, and I think the writer has done an excellent job of choosing a particular template that works well. This is a journey, a trip, and so everything we see is over here, a trip to Mexico, basically from Pennsylvania to California, and then down into Mexico, and then back to Pennsylvania. So it's all over here, but I think this template works very well. And as we go through it, starting at Philadelphia Airport, and maybe work on this little title here instead of background information, maybe find another way to say it. But generally an excellent job of putting this together, and so close but so far away. And you know, from here we see these images are pretty small, but this is one of the things about Prezi is now we can zoom in and look at those and go look at this other document. It does render clearly here. It's just kind of taking a while to load, I think. And we go down here, and so we have basically a slide here, but we can see these two circles in the lower left that we're going to zoom in on, and the images as well, and more images contained in those circles. And so this seems to be coming along very well. And again, more images, and then back here. And probably my main concern about this document at this point is working on developing the reflection significance a bit more. But otherwise, very good job, and I'm pleased with the way this particular project is coming along. So, okay, so let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this particular essay, the writer has chosen PowerPoint as the mode of delivery, and I think it works really well. Again, we're going to kind of stay in this editing view of the document, but just kind of eyeballing these slides over here. They look like they're very well done. We'll go ahead and click through on some of them. So we only have two pictures here, but actually the color blocks work well to kind of give it some design balance. And we have a balance of text and image to the side. Same thing here. Here we have an image used as background, and the text has been reversed. It's white. I think this also looks good with balancing the image and the text. Same thing here. Same thing here. Same thing here. Here we have pretty much, you know, a slide that appears to be all text, but then we see that in the background there is an image there. So probably need to work on the conclusion, the significance on this, but in terms of document design, I think it's coming along really well. Okay. Okay, so now that we've looked at some of your drafts, let me come back and reiterate my major points that I wanted to get across. In terms of multimedia, make sure you've got that banner for an illustrated essay. Make sure your images are big enough. Make sure you use at least 3 images in the body of the document. Make sure every image has a caption. As a general rule, avoid mixing photos with clip art. If you're using PowerPoint or Prezi, consider making use of subheadings. Sorry for the typo there. And in terms of the beginning of your document, titles are very important, so work on that. For your intro, avoid starting your essay with the word "it." Don't start with a date either. You might think it's critically important, but to most readers it isn't. Avoid starting too far back. Start closer to the action. As I said here, read through your essay, look at each sentence, see if you think it might make a better starting point for your essay. Consider starting with dialogue. It puts you as the writer into that situation, puts your reader immediately into that situation. I guess another thing I might add here is your introduction doesn't need to be just one paragraph. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 paragraphs to create your introduction. So we saw that in some of our example essays. Okay. In the body of the document, avoid making paragraphs the same length. It's monotonous, and paragraph variety is important. It helps with the pacing in your essay. Short paragraphs can be effective. Be sure to include dialogue in the body of your essay. At the end of your essay, this is the hardest part of your essay to write. It's a highly abstract language. We have to grapple with things. So plan several different writing sessions. Should be more than just a single paragraph. Avoid cliches and truisms, things that you've heard other people say to you. Try to put it in your own words. This is the big takeaway for your reader. It's the act of transference, so make it worthwhile for them. Okay, so those are my thoughts on your intermediate drafts, and good luck working toward a final draft. Thank you very much.